Hi, everybody. Welcome in. This is Michael here with Viral Funding Solutions. Today, I have a great one. SSN free business loans with EIN only up to $5 million plus 0% interest for 6 to 18 months and up to $150,000, if not $250,000, with true no docs, no bank statements, no financials, no profit and loss, balance sheets, none of that. Truly no doc for startups and non-startups. But before I get started, like I said, I'm an expert business loan broker, which is another way of saying I know how to handle documentation, analyze, evaluate it, and then connect you with the best lenders and underwriters. And so one thing I want to clear up here for those of you looking for these only business loans with an EIN only, not having to supply a social security number and so forth. I made another video of that. I'll link to you down below in the description. That'll go more in depth into the EIN only business loans. But I do want to get level with you. So let's meet here eye to eye. For those of you, you may have found me on YouTube just searching SSN without SSN business loan without an SSN, or EIN only business loan. Let me give you the truth and the reality. And I think you will greatly appreciate this because I've seen a lot of content on the web, not only on video, but in blogs and in other formats. And I watch them thoroughly and I go, and then I see the comments and it's even more evidence. And I go, well, yeah, that's not like that. And then people go in the wrong direction. So not having to supply your social security number on a business loan or any kind of funding application, it is very difficult to, unless you're doing business credit cards, and those be at corporate cards. Like you have the Brexes of the world as a startup. If you're trying to get that card, maybe you're trying to do a Divvy card. That's another one where perhaps it would only require you to submit your EIN depending on your position as a borrower. So every person is different. Whenever I hear people go, how about stated income business loans, where I may make another video on that, but it really doesn't need to be. Just know that if you're just going to put in an application, an estimate about the amount of money you make, but it isn't verifiable by supplying bank statements or any kind of personal and or business tax returns, depending on the length and time in your business, then you are going to have a hard time and you're going to be hit hard with a lot of these maybe scams, or you're going to be hit with a lot of lenders that may try to do that, but they're going to get you a lot less, or they won't get you any at all. They're going to get you in the door and then send you to another marketplace where you found out you had to submit bank statements where they said you didn't have to. And so for many of you who are trying to find these EIN only business loans, it's time we wake up. Okay. I made a video on this again. I'll link you guys to it down below in the description, but getting a business loan also without a social security number, let me go from this part and then I'll move on to the next part and then I'll get into a share screen. So social security numbers validate who you are as an individual, who you will be as the person more though than the borrower. Who are you as in an identity? Who are we communicating with? Who is it that we're working with? Who are we tracking their financial history from? Those are things we need to gather. What is their actual credit score like? Who are they as a character? See, these are a lot of things. And when we ask for a social security number, it is very safe and secure, especially when it's coming from me and I'm asking for it, as well as they require a personal guarantee. Well, I don't want to have a personal guarantee. That's why I'd like to apply with my EIN only, Michael. Well, it doesn't work that way. You should be held personally liable for the debt, accountable and responsible. Now, there are instances where when a personal guarantee is involved in just the majority of 99.9, if not 100% of applications, online and offline. And what we'll do, though, with separate business funding applications and loans is we'll look at your personal and business. If you already have an existing business and you've already established business credit and done all that, you have the assets, we could put a lien on those. And we could also issue a personal guarantee regardless. So it just depends on the strength of your business. If you're just getting started and you're asking for all this negotiation and, well, I only wanted an EIN and I don't want the debt to show up like this. And if it doesn't show up like that, or if it does show up like that, then I don't want to get funding. So I want to clear this part up, especially when it comes to SBA 7A loans. I have a lot of people, and I'm a professional at what I do. Like, in all aspects. And I run multiple businesses. I have a digital marketing agency, affiliate marketing ones, other ventures, and this is my main priority. I want you to know that, just so you know that I don't come from a place where I'm just a customer service rep answering phone calls and doing those things and just handing out information just to hand it out, whatever the cause may be it. So the thing is, a lot of us, we have this impression and this belief that we don't have to supply our social security number. We don't have to supply or this information. We don't need a personal guarantee. And I've seen those videos out there and I go, wow, you guys need somebody who really gives you guys the truth. And so with that, especially if we're doing an SBA loan, let me go into a service as the SBA and I'll make a quick example of this. So on one of my screens, I can't show you, but I have a personal financial statement. I actually have a couple of them open from a few clients that recently submitted them to me. And I reviewed it myself. I sent it over to my lender. We'll be reviewing it too. And I'm looking at this and they filled out the social security number. And then I see other applications, not non-SBA related, SSN filled out, all of that included. Great, shebang, no friction, no resistance. And so even at the SBA level, if you're seeing a US government guaranteed bank-backed loan asking for your social security number, what do you do? If you're unsure about it, you ask, why are they asking for that? It's not, I don't want to supply. Why are they asking for that? That's the question that needs to be transmitted to me, because I can give you a clear answer, which I do to many people, and I break down those objections because it's a government guaranteed. You have the SBA being issued through the bank, or there's a non-banking lender situation as well. But you have these setups, especially when they are those type of high privileged or high loans. But we're not even talking SBA. If we're talking other ones, even collateralized, you even have non-collateralized. Excuse me, you have the personal funding aspect. So wanting a business loan without having to supply your social security number, unless you have an extensive history of business, you are at that corporate high level, you retained a lot of these employees, your personal and business acumen is just off the roof. I'm looking at a huge Amazon bill. Even them, it doesn't work that way. You have to you want to pledge collateral, both on the personal and business, not just one or the other. And you have to be heavily loaded, extensive experience. And there's more to qualify for that, but it just doesn't work. It's very rare you see that. People can point you, hey, here's a video I saw of a guy that was showing me a video on this company where they only ask for your EIN. But then when you find out, you go through the application, or you're thinking it's just stated income, then they're asking you for 3 months of bank statements. This has changed. This has changed. I've seen quite a few videos out there on the web, especially of influencers or people with a huge following. And I question that variable. And I go, are they just glorified referral partners just sending you to a link that they get credit for, but never really ever do the work themselves or review any of this documentation? And just because they've accumulated a high amount of people doesn't mean that they are in your best interest. Not normally, not always. I'm not saying they're wrong or that they don't say the right things, but you have to question these. And I wonder, when I was watching some of this content over the weekend and I go, how did that guy get 20,000? He got 20,000 views for that, but that doesn't mean anything. And I go, when I'm watching the video, I go, that's not how it works. And I go in the comments and I see everybody in there just flooding in. So I want to jump into another document here in a second. But before that, just know that if you're looking for these no doc, EIN only, then we can look at a form of business credit cards. And again, I'll leave that content for you down below. I made an extensive hours plus worth, I believe it still is. Yeah, it's that video. And I go into the good, the fair credit cards, and more. That's one you will want to look at. But for those of you in here who really understand, why would I want an EIN only? I know this stuff, Michael. I know you're not speaking to me. Great. So let's go ahead and transfer documents. 1 second. One thing I do want to make mention of before I go into this document that I'll try to link you to down below. So I'm very meticulous, cerebral, and I'm not identifying one single person, but this happens, and it happens over the course of a year, and then the next year rolls over, and I'll get these few cases every now and then. But I get people who will ask me an email and stuff and go, "Hey, can we do perhaps a Zoom call? Could we do one of these calls? And then can we do that one?" And then I get somebody who then the next time goes, "Michael, can we do another call?" And that's where I'm kind of like, And for one, I'm an introvert, but two, it doesn't need to be. Like that doesn't need to happen. And I'm saying this from the wealth of experience and as a financial professional in what I do, and not only in this, but my other businesses. I know when a Zoom call, I know when a phone call, I know when a text message, I know when a direct messenger chat or whatever that communication channel is warranted and is given. But I have too many times where people want to ask me something that can be simply asked in an email or send me it in a quick text message. Hey, can we just knock this out or cover it over a quick phone call? When are you available? Or if you don't respond, I'll probably send you a quick email just letting you know, or I'll just give you a quick call. And I don't play that game where I know I get people, if it's given, if it's earned, if it is something that makes sense, unless you want to show me something on screen, a blueprint, a business plan you wanted to go over with me, or it was very extensive where you couldn't just send it to me via email and I could look at it. And in those cases, it can make more sense. But when I start getting into this whole, and again, I'm a professional at what I do. I know when it's time to get on those and when it isn't. And so I get people from time to time, and don't feel bad about these things. It's a learning lesson for those of you who are like, he doesn't want to get on a Zoom call with me. I don't want to work with them. He doesn't want to get on a call with me on this. That's not how you do things. That's a bad attitude, and that is not the right way of looking at it. Maybe it's time that we look at ourselves in the mirror and go, what am I doing wrong? What could I be doing different? Instead of trying to ask for that, what could I have done instead? And so when I get people who ask me about those things, I go, I mean, unless it were a thing you have to show me on screen, can we knock this out over a quick call? Or, hey, can you do this over a quick email? Just send it to me very quickly. I'll have an answer for you. Bada boom, bada bang, baby. Next thing, you're ready to go. But then there's this whole friction part of that. There's this whole section now where I feel like I'm not the bad guy. And I'm like, I didn't want to be that guy to tell them that, but I had to. Why? Because I'm also energy and time efficient. And does it make sense? There's cases where I get that from people and I go, it doesn't make sense. And so I have to look like, I'm not going to say the word bad guy because that's not what it is. I have to look like that guy. I don't want to be that guy who has to tell somebody, unless it's something, can you please just send it to me over? It's not because it's my whole introvert innate nature, but it's because I get that from people. And they get backlash, and then they're feeling upset, and then now they have to worry about their own ignorance, and they have to worry about and I go, that's not caused by me, or that isn't my fault at that point. So just know that you have a professional on this side who's an actual business loan broker who reviews documentation, who does things with the lenders and underwriters, has great personal and business relationships with them, and continues to help people and not only just get funding. And if I didn't say this, I was in a position too, 9 to 5, like a lot of you are or were, and I was not getting paid what I needed to. The person in front of me did not want to retire. The company got bought over. I had to go back on unemployment, food stamps. I was very embarrassed at the time. And I had to go through grocery stores and do all that stuff. And I didn't want to keep letting my family down and putting the financial burden on them on my younger 20s at that time. And so I thought about going back to school for finishing another semester. Originally had gone to school. I was a Division I soccer player, sociology, but then I transitioned it to chemistry or chemical engineering. Excuse me. I love chemistry, but then I found chemical engineering for that. But then I saw the market after I took those classes, and I started seeing how what I better wanted to prepare myself for. So I rather got into business administration, and I went from there. I worked in construction, manufacturing, warehousing. I worked in a lot of different industries in my younger 20s. Not necessarily were they financial roles. They were also working on the field, on the machine. They were also then later on in financial logistics role, one of the biggest contracting companies servicing HP and Peace Health. That's where I got into a lot of data, budgeting, ordering, and then I still had to lift some things up because we were part of that department and had to move things and had to interact with a few other departments and finish things. But all that said, I just hope that gives you a clearer picture of where I come from. And don't be upset if I come to you and I say, well, we don't need to do a Zoom call. We don't need to do a phone call for this. Just adjust. And I know because of this up here, and not only because of this, but because of the experience I've had doing this for such a long time, I know when it is feasible. I know when it is given. I know when it isn't. And I know a lot of you will probably look at this and go, why did you have to say, don't be upset with me on that. That's not on me at that point. For sometimes it makes sense, other times it doesn't. So attacking somebody for that just doesn't make sense. So let's go back into this. You've probably seen this document. I'll speed through it. I'm not going through every single option, but I'll try to leave you this in the description down below with my free questionnaire you can fill out, where I can get you a very personalized and customized email response on your best funding option and option. So please stick with me if this sounds repetitive. Sometimes we need a refresher and a reminder. It is a Monday as I'm making this, so a lot of you are probably not paying attention to this. That's why I won't email broadcast today, because you guys are getting back into the swing of things. Oh, it's Monday. I got to get back to my business. I got to work on the numbers, or I got to work on this, and then I got to do that first. So here it says, before you click through to the application down below, and I didn't tell you about in the video because this was for another video I made, but I didn't move that. Below are more of the qualifications for revenue-based funding and more services. One thing I want to mention: credit, cash flow, collateral. These are the three things that I look at when getting somebody funding. You either have the credit, and it has to normally be good. We can work with fair credit like 650 and above, but you will be very limited. Then you probably won't get those 0% interest business credit cards. You won't get the lump sum that you were looking for, especially the personal lines of credit, perhaps certain personal credit cards. I know at a 650 level that can vary, but we can do that on the credit side. Normally a 680 and above is what we are looking for. And be serious. If I'm telling you and showing you guys these things, I don't want to be told sweet things into my ears. Hey, I'm going to take action on this, and you never do it. See, I never tell you I'm doing something. If I'm working with you, I'm doing it, period. You don't need me to get on a phone call. I don't need a phone call with you. I don't need a text message with you. I don't need this Zoom calls. I don't need this Facebook Messenger call with you. Let's get it done, Jeremy. Let's get it done, Sally. I trust you enough. Or, hey, I got to know you a little bit on the personal side because that's what matters too. And so let's get moving. You don't have to tell me twice. Just keep your mouth shut and I'll get it done, period. That's who you're getting in me. You're not getting somebody who causes this friction and this resistance and goes bada boom, bada bing here, and then ding, ding, ding. And then now it's like, where did that person even go? That's why I'm protective of my energy and time, guys. I don't mean to say this and sound repetitive, but the truth is, I'm not, at some point, I just can't be the information given guy. Like, I don't expect that outcome, but I just can't continuously over and over, like, continue just to give you the information. And then it's like, where'd you go? Or where were you 3 months ago? Or now you're responsive? Or where were you 4 months ago? Where's that accountability and responsibility and that curiosity and that courtesy, excuse me? Those are the simple things. And those are things that business owners lack. Not everybody, but it's about working on your character. So I was listening to quickly, I'll get into this. I know I'm sorry, but I was listening to a podcast that reaffirmed my identity over the weekend. One of the biggest entrepreneurs out there. It's like he was speaking to me, and I had already understood all of this. But just to reframe it back into my mind, he spoke about how he's very selective about who he works with. And I'm similar. Why? And he said this because he vets people through their character, their personality traits, not just on their revenue. He's looking at who they are, who they identify as, what's their values, what's their aspirations. These are all the things that I do. Why? Because it becomes troublesome when someone doesn't, and you just target everybody and everybody. And then what ends up happening is there's people who will end up sucking that time up and go, they don't really respect that boundary, or it's like they caused a lot of friction. They're egotistical, they're ignorant, they're stubborn. And now you're trying to work with that person, which I rightfully always do, but they just can't seem to let that out the door when we go through the application, but it affects everything. And then I go, oh, so he was speaking to me and everybody else and just saying, hey, why I do this and what I look for in people. I don't just target everybody because certain people act the way they do, and that will cause those problems spiraling down the road if they are not fixed at its diagnosis, not its actual just symptoms. So I just want you guys to know that I take my work serious and what I do. So please don't waste my energy and time. P.S. You can scroll to the very bottom of this document to the conclusion part and locate the business funding questionnaire if you haven't. And if you have, I'll get back to you soon to get a highly personalized and customized email response on your best funding option and options with what you see below and more. Also, you can pick up my free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist that comes with it when you fill out the questionnaire as a bonus. So this is for revenue based. This is based on bank statements. This will ask for social security number. So for those of you who are touchy on this, I'm not sure why you should be. Is there some kind of issue with social security? Is there a fraud? Do you need to freeze your account? Is there a fraud alert? Is there a reason why you're bringing that to my attention? There's probably something deeper that a lot of people don't like to share. And that's why they get sensitive when they hear about having to supply their social security number. Oh, well, a year ago, or hey, this is what happened, or hey, I actually did something that I'm guilty of, but I don't want to have somebody see my social security number and then find out, or this tracks my finances for this. But it's very safe and secure, especially when we're doing those SBA loans. Like that doesn't even need to be questioned. And here, without collateral, please read over this carefully and all else from this point forward. There's a reason why this is in red. You're operating for profit. Nonprofit does not qualify. There's some instances where it does, or situations where it can, but it's very difficult to, and it's very much of a decline for most cases. Do you have a business checking account? It must be in the name of your business, not a personal account you use for business. If you're using a personal account, there will be a self-employed, even for small businesses, independent contractors, gig workers, in green heading down below. We'll get to that in a second. And not transferring your funds from personal to business, that does not count as stated true organic revenue. So if you're doing depositing of personal to business and it's not looking like it's not verifiable, one, but maybe it is verifiable, but it's moving from personal to business, that's not counted as true revenue. So what I always tell business owners is directly deposit, put that money into that main business checking account, that revenue generating account that you will also be applying with. And if there are other accounts, other banking, we will have to ask for those if we can verify. There's cases where the lender comes to me and goes, Michael, we cannot ask for those other accounts because we can't track these. And what we see on our original bank statements, and I see them too, and I go, yeah, rightfully so, we shouldn't ask for more, because this gives us the clear picture on how they are depositing and their frequency of deposits. And if this is how it already is, those other ones are not necessary. So back to this. Online banking is a setup. We're working in a digital age now, guys. PDF is what we ask for, not these snapshotted pictures all the time of, well, you just showed me I've had people send me like, what was that? I go, I question certain people when they send me things and I go, are they being serious? And I go, sometimes you don't understand what to send. That's one thing. But two, you sent me something that you may or may not have understood, but you sent me something half of a picture. Like, why am I giving this any energy and time to? So we're in a digital age now. PDF format is mostly required. So please send those in that way. A 450 plus credit score, depending on your category of revenue, although 500 plus is best. FICO, that's what we're looking at. I know when people ask for Vantage scores and they want this whole thing, they're all looking at their Credit Karma FICO scores, FICO 8s, FICO 9s, etc. These are what we're looking for. So back to this topic. If best, if not, 550 for lower revenue below 15K, but you can still get a look. 4+ months time in business. If you're a startup, go to the green heading that reads personal business / startup loan option 1 and go through the ones below it as well. So that's not the only one. 3 months of revenue, at least 5K plus per month on your lowest month. And then there's also here, at least 5K on your lowest month, 5K plus at least 3 to 4 plus deposits per month is best. That's what the lender's looking for, usually a minimum of 3. The more you have, the better. That's honestly going to help your case. You're depositing your funds into one primary business checking account and not transferring within multiple accounts over and over again, which looks suspicious and it's hard to track, especially, if it's those online transfer checking from and comes from like a vendor, a supplier, or someone that we don't know what's happening, or they might just be taking the money that they earned, sending it to you, or however everything is billed and tracked. And it may not be counted as true deposits and be stated revenue. If you have multiple business checking accounts transferring, then we will have to look through them all. But also make sure you apply with your highest revenue one. If you have bank statements with different banks, then we will need the last 3 months for each bank account, and you want to apply with your highest earning bank account. Right here, no more than 5 non-sufficient funds, or NSFs for short, or negative days in any of the last 3 months. Example, bounce checks, overdrafts, you can name it. If you're falling behind on any current MCAs, cash advances of any kind, or similar for like a week or so, you won't qualify. The majority of the time you won't, especially if you're already over leveraged. Unless you're a high borrowing power type of client, then we might be able to adjust, but it's still most difficult to do it then. Current loan consideration, if you have a current capital advance, the amount you still owe will be taken into consideration and cause a reduction in your approval amount. More funds with second to fourth positions may be available. We're not saying they will be if you're over leveraged. If you have an existing cash advance, it will cause a reduction in what you get. And if you had more positions, you may not get anything at all. This goes the same with all business loans and business funding services. This is based on future receivables. We like to call it the hybrid advance / term loan. I'll get into a bank loan product here, FDIC stuff. But just know that when you're dealing with online traditional banking loans, if you do not have the credit profile, the credit worthiness, both in personal and in business, you don't have usually an annual revenue requirement around 250,000, at least 2+ years time in business. They'll look at cash flow, and we'll look at doing a cash flow analysis, myself included, just so you know this. I know for those of you watching video content out there and like, oh, this is very refreshing to finally get somebody who actually reviews this stuff, who actually cares about me as a person and as a business owner, not just putting a link down below. This sound good, the production looks good, but you have to question more than that. For those of you out there like going, well, why isn't his production great? And he does all this, why doesn't he? That's not the point. I want to be as authentic. I can buy as much things as I want to. But the same thing applies, and it doesn't normally make that big of a difference anyways. They just want to get that video quality, and it sounds good over a mic. And let me tell you about this no social security number, EIN only business loans. And they go into the whole section of this, and then I go looking at it, and I go, that is a huge cluster of what? And I go, okay, well, let me help the people who really need this. And if it's a reality check, so be it. It's nothing wrong with that at all. And this goes the same with all, but if it's an EIDL or perhaps it's a PPP, employee retention credit or similar, 10K grant, then it's okay. They are not usually correlated and shouldn't cause a reduction for the most part. Consolidation, and there's reverse consolidations that are even more expensive. For example, we can either give you a second position if you don't have one already, where you don't have to pay off your first one, or we give you a large loan or an advance and you pay off your first and you net the difference. They're still very pricey though. We're just adding more debt on top of what you already have, and you may get less than what you could have received if none you would have paid at least 50% of that balance. But because a lot of people, what they do is they use this funding as a means of clearing up other debt. Maybe they're trying to consolidate things. They're trying to pay off cards, and maybe they're trying to pay off their other advances. So they take out more funding, not knowing the position at large they're getting themselves into, or they do, but they are over leveraged and don't understand that if you're taking money out, you have to use it as good debt. If it's bad debt, temporarily, and then you move into good debt. But you don't just take on this money and just want to pay off all of these expenses, and then to come out of that, you have no more cash flow reserves. You have nothing. You had nothing to begin with. Now you need more funding to add more funding back into your account just to keep there for a little bit. But then the repayment comes out, and you're like, oh, I got to pay $5,000 at the end of the month, or $5,000 per month. You're usually paying these on daily or weekly, and there are monthly options. I'll get into that for those of you out there for the first time hearing this. And I'm not here to sell. I'm not here to pressure you. You guys should enjoy my content. I'm like a Mr. Rogers before helping you guys with funding. That sounded the wrong way, I guess. But the way you should think about it is somebody who's in your friendly neighborhood, who's there. Hey, he's not somebody here who's pressuring me or selling me. He's guiding me to what I need, and he's giving me the truth, whether I like it or not. That's not my problem. See, again, that comes back to character. If you tell me something that I need to hear, why would I be like, I don't want to hear that? Screw him. That is a terrible attitude. That needs to be adjusted. And again, that comes back to the character. And if those are things we need to work on, we can read some books. Do some yoga, go on a walk, jog before you work. Watch some motivational videos, get into masterminds. These are things that are going to help you in your process of becoming an even better person, as well as even a better business owner, honestly. And so let's go back to this, and we'll close up here shortly. We're going into 30 minutes. Not have a default with another advanced loan company, regardless of how long ago. You usually don't get any more funding in this industry with the default. There's like 1 to 2 lenders who may help you, but you still start with a lot less, if not any at all. There can also be a default with a judgment in place. I can go into each and every one of these guys like hard, like the online banking, the credit, 4 months, this. The other ones would require 3 months, boom, boom. I can go even deeper why they want 4 months. I can go deeper into each segment. But again, that I wouldn't be able to do. I'd be able to do this over like a 10-hour video, but I have to split it up. So here, regardless of how long ago, usually don't get more. There's probably 1 or 2 lenders, and I work with them, who will be able to say, I'll give them something, but they have to prove to me. And so many people they do that whole, like, I'm better than that. Yeah, you're not. The thing is, you've defaulted and you have a past default judgment in place, whether it's recent or not, you just haven't paid it. So that isn't something that is to be taken very lightly. There's a court order in place. Did you avoid this on purpose? Did you just intentionally do it, or did you just miss it? You didn't get those emails, or you didn't get that information sent out to you. I mean, these are things we have to be responsible for as a business owner, myself included. I'm not the exception or of the rule. So right here, there can also be a default judgment in place. No lender will want to give you lines of credit for the majority if you default on a lump sum for a lot of the cases, even vice versa. Background checks. If your background reports come back with a criminal record or past financial issues and a past UCC filings too, they can automatically result in a decline for a lot of them. But we may be reasonable if it's in the past and you've changed your ways. So I've seen a lot of clients that come to me who do have criminal backgrounds, and they have charges, or they've learned their lessons pretty much. And I love these individuals, because especially when they've learned and it's proven to me that they have, and they go into things with me on a personal level that I just cherish. And right now I just got a goosebump from the top of my head here, move down. But I cherish these things and I value them and I hold them very closely to my heart. I seriously do, guys. I almost want to cry sometimes when I hear it. And how people open up to me, and people know how trustworthy and loyal of a person I am. And when you get to see where I come from and the loyalty that comes with it, loyalty is everything. And for some of you out there, you're not loyal. I know how that may sound, but for a lot of people out there, you're just trying to bounce from one thing to the next. And for me, it isn't that. If you needed help with something, feel free, ask me about it. Sometimes it feels embarrassing too. Hey, you don't have to tell me that or everything, but you can trust that I'm going to keep this. I won't laugh. I won't judge you. I won't do none of that. It's very safe and secure. It's like locked in a little box right here. Get the key, put it in my pocket, somewhere safe and secure. When I have to open it, there it is for Jeremy. There it is for Sally. There it is for this person, that person. Not used for real estate investments like a fix and flip, rental, similar passive investments. Use the personal/business/startup funding option below that I'm going to leave you for, and the credit line hybrid with 0% interest for 6 to 18 months. Also not have issues with these: financial fraud, past default, and past default judgment in place. Submitted altered bank statements to another lender. And then I go into some of the things before you get started with your application process on how to navigate through there. How does it work? Here's some examples. It might not be specific to yours, but you can see usually what happens. And a lot of people who do not read this stuff are finding themselves in the situation of, well, why didn't this work? Why didn't it just give it to me like this? Just give it to me. If I gave it to you like that, Mr. and Mrs. Business Owner, it would go usually right over your head. A majority of people, it just goes right over their head. So you get 4 to 24 months to pay the advance back, and I can underwrite a file without looking at bank statements right away. I can see based on certain fundability details on whether that would work or not. Would you get longer terms? Would you not get longer terms? What kind of rates could you get? Let's say if you're getting $250,000, and I'm not going to get into how you get $250K in this video, but to start, then your payback is between $297,500 to $310,000. So my question to you is, Mr. and Mrs. Business Owner, if we were to give you $250,000, would you be able to pay this amount back? Now, what are the terms, Michael? What are the exact micro payments that I'm making? Well, that's a great question. Let's get into that. So sometimes a bit higher of a risk too. Use this money to grow and increase your revenue, and your benefit exceeds your repayment, and then it could make sense. But for those of you who go, I wanted 24 months. Well, okay, let's see if we can qualify for those months. Let's see if we can qualify for 2+ years. But a lot of the times people won't. And you don't have to take 5 years, 10 years, specifically on certain situations. If I'm taking money, I want to pay back as soon as possible. I don't want to have it roll over to the next year, and now I have extra payments. Think about that for a little bit. Even if the payments are low, you may have other obligations to come up. You never know. So given the funding details that have been submitted to me, you may have what we call or have A to B paper, which gets you terms between 12 to 24 months and rates between 1.31 to 1.55. Why are they 1.31 instead of 1.19 to 1.3? Well, because the credit of this individual isn't up to standard. It's not high enough. To get rates of 1.19 to 1.3, you usually need 700, if not 725 plus credit. And the revenue, they have it high enough. The time in business is there, but they fell below. They have below 675 or so, 7 to 11 months. And if it's 4 to 6 months, bad credit, time in business could be a factor, revenue, etc. You'll know the exact terms and rates. We'll do a soft pull. And I give you some examples here. So at a 1.35, if we're giving you 250,000, we go ahead and look at it backwards over 360 or so payments over those amount of times for 18 months if you were to get that. So your daily is $938. Your weekly, it's $4,690. Well, I wanted that payment less. Well, why didn't you get that payment less? Because you don't have the right credit. Your rates are higher because of that. Or it could be a numerous amount of factors too. But if you were having better credit, we probably get you not a 1.35. That's the difference in night and day. We probably get you a 1.25, a 1.28, a 1.21. And then guess what? This 938 payment can be even sliced in half. You're probably paying only $500, $400 to $500, which is really reasonable because your business can afford that. And weekly, it's much reasonable. And now you're paying somewhere around 8 to 10,000 a month, maybe instead of 18,000 or so monthly. Overall total cost of financing, you're paying that amount back over the 18 months. And if you can, and that's doable, this is why you have to have a better business plan. Pay it off earlier if you can, no prepayment penalties. And we usually have the best early payment discounts. Make sure your benefit of using the funds exceeds your repayment. Otherwise, you will never justify doing this. If you're doubling, tripling, quadrupling your revenue and exceeding in the repayment, then it makes sense to do it, even if you're not. But you need to fix things or get back on track. You can do it so if it makes sense. If 15 months, here's another example. If I give you, it's going to be more expensive. Why? Because of your rates and because of a few things. But we have some of the best early payment discounts, and this is something that's very attractive and why a lot of people, they do turn to me. But also on that, we have a meet or beat guarantee. So if you have another offer and we can verify you do before you sign contracts, usually we beat offers. I usually beat them for the majority of the time. Then if we can't beat it, we give you a $500 gift card guaranteed. Usually that's what it is at that amount. So payment discounts, let's just quickly go through that. You can see it on screen, and I want to get to the next part. This is another section you may or may not have to look at depending on your file. And then here, I give you guys some more things. Again, this is not set in stone. If you feel it's too high, what I tell business owners is to scale back and start perhaps with a lower amount. If there's that option and you have the negotiation power to do so, so we can drop the monthly, daily, weekly repayment, bi-weekly, and then take it from there. And then you can come back and add more funds right away. Add-on funds are available. 40% of it paid off, 50% of it paid off in 45 days. Maybe there's add-on funds. Again, a lot of people will do this. It's about building the relationship with myself, the lender, the underwriters, and proving you can make those payments so then we can get you more funding later and faster if you need to pay it off fast. Drop the rates, increase the terms, and so forth. Right now, it's time to build your relationship with the lender because of the market. And I go into here another example. I recently had a lady who took 600,000. I recently had one for 700,000 and so. And what? They took 150. Why? Because they didn't have to supply extra documentation. They didn't want to have to supply the year-to-date financials, the tax return. So they thought, let me start off with a little bit now, and I'll get some more in time. And other people go, hey, I'll take the whole majority of it, the prepayment. I know it's high, but I'll be fine. I'll make those payments. I'll be good to go. I'll actually pay this off earlier. And the projects make sense. It's all about that relationship you have personally with me and in business makes the most sense. Here's an example for this 150,000 at 18 months. And this is with a 1.23 rate, not a 1.35, 1.4 high rate, but daily 513, very manageable. Well, I don't have that kind of business. That's your situation. Yours is different from theirs. Monthly, 10,260, very affordable. If you're making 300,000, getting approved for 600,000, paying back $513 a day, and you're complaining about that, we have more problems, a lot more. Or you can add the line of credit option if that option is available. On top of that, we may be able to add multiple things if you can qualify. Here are some of the underwriting guidelines. So there's no joke. This is the best of the best, guys. I've looked around and I go, this is very lenient as opposed to what other lenders and organizations would do. This is very, very standard and very, very professional and very good for you. So right here, I go into the rates, the underwriting, what affects the rates, and what could happen here. What could happen if you get a term of this amount of months, and this. And if this were to change, what would it look like? No prepayment penalties. Daily, sometimes weekly. Well, how do we get monthly? Well, a lot of people default in this industry, so that's why we don't offer it. And so here's the application process. Now let's move into another one. Self-employed. If you have a personal account you are using for business and or you don't have more than 5,000 or 5,000 at least in your lowest month in the last 90 or so days, sometimes the last 4 months, depending on state, but usually we'll look at the last 90 days even on that. So you can look at this, but your approval will be a lot less. Instead of getting 75 to 200%, you'll get 20 to 25%. But can you use that money? Is it of work? Is it of purpose? That's the question at mind. So here, the qualifications, let's go past this. Online bank term loans. Let's go into that section. So I go into this option where this is going to offer you a monthly repayment. Usually it doesn't involve collateral. I put this here, but sometimes they would need to, depending on the borrower. They'd have to put a lien on a specific property. It takes longer, but it's uncollateralized, just so you know. It takes longer to receive your funds and can be more difficult to approve through underwriting. Even though it's quicker than SBA loans, it's an online term loan. And for the loan size, it may not be so high. So you may only get up to 350, up to 500,000 in some cases. If you qualify for traditional banking, then you can qualify with an online banking institution, and it may be more flexible than an actual traditional bank. And I go into the benefits of the bank term loan here. Offers you between 30 to 350K, and loan funding, I've even seen it go higher than that. A lot of people, they go between the $30,000 to $250,000 range. Your choice of 2 to 3 or 5 year repayment term. So if I'm saying that you're usually going to fall between the 30K to 250K, the 350K is the exception if it's cash flowing very heavily and doing more. But usually most people I see get approved for up to 225 to 250,000. I see a lot of files getting approved for that I send through, that I help people on. And so if you're having a better chance with an advance and you're going, well, if I can get more out of my business and I can get it faster, if I'm doing 300,000 a month, you're telling me I'm only going to get approved for this amount. I won't even get the amount of 350,000 because of my cash flow. Well, okay, I won't get even beyond 350,000. I got approved for that. But if I went over here, I can get approved for 600,000. I can get approved for 450,000. But do I need all that money at once? That's another question you have to answer for yourself. Your choice of 2, 3, or 5 year repayment terms, you get monthly repayments. There are no prepayment penalties. You get a fast loan funding, typically within 2 weeks. Fixed annual interest rates vary, but they are 6.99, somewhere around 7%. The prime rates plus an additional 2 to 3 points. So usually you see 75% is what I see a lot of cases. It can go even as far as 18 to 29%, depending on your risk. Leniency on use of the proceed funds. I won't go into all of this, but 2 years time in business, U.S.-based business owned by a citizen or lawful permanent resident. FICO 660, but normally what we like to see are the 680s, if not 700 is best. Have no outstanding tax liens. Your minimum annual revenue requirement of 250,000, but do more than the minimum on these guys because the market has shifted tremendously. Your business must not have bankruptcies or foreclosures in the past 3 years or in the last 3 years. No recent charge-offs or settlements. Your business must have appropriate cash to support loan payments. Here's what it can be used for: general working capital, purchasing inventory, hiring employees, refinancing business debt, marketing, construction or remodeling, business acquisition, and a partner buyout. You're not eligible for startup financing, a few things. I'm going to skim through this really quickly. So here you see this: general eligibility, for-profit business, proceeds. See a little bit more there. Credit, you see there. Business credit score, liquid credit, 155 or greater, FICO 660 or greater, and the bigger, the better. Public records, search for business owners, no bankruptcy in the last 3 years, foreclosure in the last 3 years, no open tax liens or outstanding judgments. Cash flow analysis is calculating using these documents that I gather: 2 years of business and personal tax returns, year-to-date profit and loss and balance sheet, business debt schedule, 6 most recent business bank statements. Barriers to fund: decline revenue trends in the borrowing business or affiliates, although that doesn't automatically result in a decline. Unfiled tax returns, there might be an extension, or if we're asking for like profit and loss statements, which would happen. I know a lot of business owners don't file those or on time, and so sometimes we'll ask for those bank statements as a substitute, but not always. Criminal records, businesses or guarantors that are mid-litigation, huge one. Undisclosed debt, UCC liens. Extra global debt service coverage ratio. I'm doing all this for you guys, so you guys don't have to worry about this stuff. But I'm calculating stuff on my end, and more. SBA 7A loan option. Here's a great one for a lot of you. But before I get into that, I'm going to close up here before an hour. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for sticking with me. Truly, I'm very grateful. and thankful. First of all, I'm grateful and thankful to be here another day on earth. That's how you have to think every moment. And you have to really let that sink in and be appreciative of what you have and not what you don't. And appreciate that you have someone like me. And if you don't, that's okay. Doesn't bother me. A lot of people, they get put off by somebody telling them the truth. They don't like to hear that. And I don't like having to tell people that. Honestly, I don't have like being here saying, well, if we're asking for a social security number, or if we're asking for this and you're looking for that, but it's time somebody tells you. Wouldn't you rather hear it from me? Wouldn't you rather hear from somebody instead of going through the process and you go, oh, they asked for statements. What are you talking about? They asked for this and then. And I go, a lot of these people are lost. And if only they would have learned about someone like myself. And I wish I had someone like myself back in the day when I was going through this myself, setting up my entity, getting funding eventually after I was doing enough, not just taking out personal loans, using personal credit cards, but on the business credit, on the business side. And if they told me that I wasn't doing something right, that's what you want. You want more than somebody who can give you the educational content, somebody who can teach you, somebody who can coach you. Think about that soccer coach or that football coach who's going to drill into your ASS because you're doing something wrong, or they're doing something that if they ask of you something, but you're not doing it and you're only listening to your own ego, then whose problem is that? How many years does this person have versus what you have? You're just a player in the field. This guy's the actual person, the coach, and they've actually worked in that. They've been a professional. They've done this. They work with the lenders and underwriters. So if that person is asking for you to do it a certain way, there has to be no question asked. And there's a case by case where I look at it and go, yes, I'll do it that way. Makes sense for me to do it. But don't be put off by little things like that. These are little things in life that I go, what? And people get upset. I get it. When it comes to your finances, when it comes to your business, this isn't digital marketing. This isn't a lead generation. This isn't affiliate marketing where I'm earning a passive income by all that. Just so you guys know, those businesses, I can go in them and iterate them, but they're working on repeat for me because I built them over 4 or 5+ years doing that and putting in the work. For some of you guys, you want the instant gratification. I want just to get what I want. That's it. But don't want to fix things. So my thing to you is if you need help with credit repair, you need to do things like these. If you've been putting them off for some time, it's because of diminishing returns. It's this whole, well, I'm going to let this line of dots just drop. So it's so small and minute that I don't have to see it, but I'll avoid it. Instead, it's still there. And then when you shine a light on it, you can really see it. You put it underneath a microscope. Somebody actually tells you to get into it. And you go, why didn't I make that change before? So instead of masking the symptoms, instead of looking for SSN only business loans, or SSN without SSN or SSN free business loans or EIN only, and I go, man, this is the kind of stuff that people are creating because I know it attracts their following and it'll grow their subscribers, but that's not what I'm in it for. See, I'm very savvy about these things because I have a digital strategist background, a digital consulting background. I know all of these platforms and how they work, guys. If you guys have questions about lead generation, ask me. I may or may not be available. I had a person ask me over the weekend, hey, he has a big, like multi-billion and a huge project coming up. And so I said, I'll find some space and time for it because right now I'm very busy and preoccupied and I'll be able to help. So these are things that I know how to do for other business owners. So I'm not just one-dimensional. And I'll go to the comments, in just a second, but let's go through this. SBA 7A option. I may give you the lender, I may not, but one of my favorites here, it's South End Capital. And I actually gather documentation, guys. If you guys are hearing that from others out there, question if they actually looked at the docs. Do they even know how to analyze the documentation? If I were getting on a call with some of these YouTubers, actually the majority of them, I'll be able to have my answer. And why does that matter so much, Michael? Because it does. You should have somebody who knows their stuff, not just sends you to a referral and then they don't even know what's going on, or they at least think they know, but they don't really gather that whole insight. You got to know how to read documents. You have to know how to read the personal credit reports, consumer credit reports, business credit reports. You have to monitor these things. And this is what I do for people. This is what I do for myself. And this is something you guys have to be having that aptitude towards or that hunger towards. How do you know what to fix if you're not looking at them? Best with the SBA, and can take 4 to 8 weeks usually to get these for non-startups. And then there are some few circumstances, where there's an up to 25K option, no bank statements, no financials, none of that has to be required. But a lot of the times it's not just stated income. Yeah, they will usually ask for at least 3 months of bank statements in a majority of these because of the market, and it depends on the borrower that will have to look at these kind of things. There's some between 25 to 150,000, but requires way stronger credit. Like this one up to 25K requires 725, if not 750 credit. 700 credit. It's not all about the cash flow for these 25 to 150,000, but there'll be some determination of that profitability. Do you have business liquid credit? And then if you're looking beyond that, like 150 or 250,000 to usually 200K to about 5 million nowadays, then it's going to require a lot more, especially more documentation. So back to this, we'll close up here shortly. So here I just quickly go through these things. I'm not going to highlight them for startups, what's expected of you. I'll ask these questions of you. And then here, the description and what would qualify and how long it takes from start to finish. We can get to these sections. How long would it take to get to this next part? I can communicate that with you, also depending on the time of your file. And so here's step 4 closing. I give you guys some examples on what it would look like. And so here is more options. I might have other SBA loan options, especially when you fill out the questionnaire, but they might not be best for you. I'll highlight them. Equipment financing there. Then I go through this asset-backed, collateral-backed, debt reconstruction, cash out refinance, very popular, especially amongst those in the construction industry. Go down here. There's more information. Personal funding / startup funding. Here's more of it. As I mentioned here, is the one that a lot of people would end up getting. I have a lot of people that I'm helping out with now and who have taken this last week. A lot of people are looking at these. So then there's more options for that funding option there. And then there's down below, credit line, hybrid with 0% interest for 6 to 18 months. I'm going to quickly go through these other startup options that may be hard to qualify. I'll let you know. And then here and there, business credit building. I have extra video content and the questionnaire to get started with. So let me look over one of my tabs and we'll be closing up here in a second. We'll get into that in a second. See, right now you hear me talking like this because I want to get through the material. If you've spoken with me, you know I speak slowly because I'm grasping. I'm listening more than I speak. People even ask me if I'm still on the phone or if I'm still there somehow. Like they've never heard anything like that in their life. And I go, yes, I'm just listening. I'm a much better listener than anything. And so it's refreshing when people come to me and they go, finally, like they don't have to say it, but they're thinking it to themselves. Because I go, I know what I'm doing. I know what you're trying to do. I know when people try to circumvent and do this. I know the psychology because I'm in business, in multiple businesses. But because I've received funding, I've been out there looking for some things like this. I've applied to those companies that I should have never applied to. I've been receiving emails like you guys. I put things off in the beginning when I first started my business. But I put my head down. I didn't look up. I put my head down and I worked, literally. And for my health affiliate marketing, more so than anything, I created a lot of blog posts and I put my head down. There were days where I wanted to quit. I literally wanted to. I was in my office in another place at the time, and all I would do was blog. I'd close the room, no one getting in there, but me just blogging. It was just me and the computer alone. And then I would wake up when I had a 9 to 5. I would wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning. I kid you not. This is called effort. This is called hunger. And I would do it. If there was something that needed to be fixed, I would do it. I would do all means necessary to do it. Don't hear it from me. Look at it at yourself, and you make that decision. So let me finish this, and I'll go to the comments, Gerardo, in 1 second. So for those of you who don't know, I have this questionnaire down below in the description and what I mentioned in the beginning of this video. Get the funding your business needs fast with the help from a real expert. And guys, one thing I want to mention, like I said earlier, I'm very meticulous about what I do, and you're getting the best from me. So if you get put off by something, please bring it to me. And I'll see if it is justified or not. I'll see the way you think about it. And then I'll give you an answer. and I'll shine some light on that answer, and you'll probably look at it and go, it makes sense. So all of us are in a different position in our businesses. So the way that I conduct meetings, if I'm the one having to vocalize, or if I'm the one just listening, and or if I'm in a phone call with a lender for just 10 minutes, and then I have to do this at 30 minutes after, I have to put some marketing material up, I have to do these things for myself, and then I have to go over here where I have a scheduled 11:30 appointment with a Facebook Messenger call until sometimes I can't get to them right away and I can't let people know right away. I get busy. Something comes up too. Okay, 1:30. Now I have a quick less than 5-minute phone call with a client that really needed that. Not a, well, I'm just trying to seek a call. So how do we get on a call? Here's my number. Give me a call. I don't even have surface level information from this person. And yes, I want to build that rapport and I want to get to know who they are. But at the same time, if I were just doing, I listened to a guy today. Oh my, some people are full of, really they are. And I don't say it to people's faces. I'm not like that. I could very easily do it. But some people I listen to and I go, if you're not calling 20 to 30 people a day, you don't want to call 100. Yuck. Ugh. I know you're probably this whole old school old man thing that this is what you did last time you did it and this is how it worked for you. But you really think, if you knew me, you think I would be on calls 20 to 30 times a day? Let me ask you, raise your hand here. How many of you want to be on a call 20 to 30 times a day? Why would I want to be? I'm not a salesperson. You guys see those videos of salespeople making phone calls and even putting a paper clip into a jar just to make sure, okay, 2, 3, 4. No, I'm not going to be like that. So right here, you can fill out. So let me go through this. I'll show you how it works. Some clients that I've funded. There's many more, but I just put some of them there so I can fill the space. And then how it works. And then startup and then non-startup. We'll click that one. Get the funding your business needs fast. Complete the questionnaire form below to get a personalized and customized email response for your funding option and options from a real, caps locks there, guys, real business loan broker expert, not just a glorified referral partner. There's a place and a time for those. It doesn't always make sense to. In a lot of cases, it does, specifically in certain markets. So please be serious. And as I put here, and I even bolded this, if you guys don't see this, a lot of you guys don't even look through this. Responsive. Do you have a different definition of being responsive? Please do not be that person wasting my energy and time and being hard to get a response / feedback from. Let me say that once more. Please do not be that person. I should put in quotations. Wasting, keyword, and I could put that in underline, my energy and time being hard to get a response / feedback from. I spend, a good amount of my energy and time on this, and I'm serious, unlike those of you out there who say you are but don't. And that shows when I'm asking for something simple in an email. I don't even call you. I send you a quick email or something that I'm ready. Hey, I sent you a questionnaire that I spent 30 minutes on for someone. For this? What is this? Plus, get a free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist to get you approved for funding faster without making mistakes. This was done by me. I didn't use no chat GPT, AI, dumb software sometimes to use this kind of stuff like the normal people are, I guess, these days. Well, I've used AI, but I'm not using it for this. But sometimes people go create the content and put it into the AI, and that's a great tool. I'm not saying it isn't. But what I'm saying is you have to use chat GPT or AI to create this document for you. I put it with sweat. I put it into the document, I put it together, and I'm still readjusting some things here and there so it looks up to par. So you guys get the best there. Simple information to fill out, literally can take you less than a minute to do. About us, our services, how it works. As you more or less saw on the last page, there may be a video there of me going through a few quick things. Click here to submit. It can take you back up here. You fill that out. Thank you page. You watch that thank you page video if there is one. You don't skip over it. If it's not there, it's okay. But that's how it works. And so that's where I want to end this here. We're about an hour's in. Let me go to the comments. You do too. Thank you, Gerardo. I appreciate you. Yes, no days off. Entrepreneur, business owners, none of you take a day off. And I don't mean that as in like, well, Sundays I take them off. I don't always believe in the whole working every single minute of the day. I don't always believe in you should take up your whole day some days, even on a weekend. Like on a Sunday, I take it off. Sundays are a reflection time for me. It could be a church day, it can be a reflection time, but your thoughts, make them count. And so I take that time away from working in my business or on it. And I at least look at my finances, or I'll do a little bit of something here and there if something is urgent. But I take that time to myself. So if you are calling me, if you are asking me things, last night I was sending somebody an email at 9 o'clock, which I normally never do, but I wanted to get that done and prepared for today. So we're already on schedule. See, that's how thoughtful, that's how punctual I am about these things. You are most welcome. Okay, everybody. I think and I don't speak. I'm an introvert. I don't know this. I don't speak a lot, but because I wanted to get this out to you, and I hope you guys really have a better understanding that not every person out there is going to give you the best level of information. A lot of this you can't normally find online, specifically with a lot of underwriting, a lot of things changing in the market. You guys can go search business loans online, and even made a video on this where that's a bad practice, and just clicking through and then just putting your information in. That's not what I would ever do, or I would ever do again. I've done it before. We all learn our lessons. Don't ever want to go through that experience ever again. People just bombarding you, and then your information gets sent out to other third parties, and then now you're hearing from a company that may or may not be worth it, and you just go apply to them because you felt like this didn't work, so this one should work, or I should apply as many as I need to, and then I'll get a response back. It doesn't work like that. Applying to even multiple different direct lenders, or even if they're different organizations. That's why I ask and I tell people during our review, which I'm looking at with my team, your application, the soft pull, all of that, the credit reports, we're looking at these things. I go, do not do anything else, because if you're getting your information out there, you're shipping it, shopping it around, that can do a lot more harm than good. Don't take my word for it. Okay, that's fine. Go learn that lesson the hard way. And you find out, well, and then people come to me and go, I've been getting declined here, I've been getting declined there. And I ask people before we even get into funding too, what's your experience with funding? What have you tried that has or maybe hasn't worked? See, I get into the nitty gritty of things. I don't have to my words. I was listening to somebody the other day on a call with someone, and I go, oh, this person really needs to brushing up their communication. Although I'm not the best, because I speak Spanish and English too, but that's not the reason why. It's just as an introvert, it happens. I'm more this here, like the systems and math guy, than I am anything else. And so what happens is I was listening to a call and I go, this is how they're talking. Like they were showing me how they talk to a client, and I go, and I'm seeing somebody who's like at the top of what they do, and I go, oh no, yeah. And I sit there and go, I'm sorry for that person, that client. See, there are certain people, and I was listening to certain calls with people, and I go, why are they asking them the question again about how they're going to use their funds? Can you please tell me about your credit? Can you please tell me about this again? And I go, you don't have to ask that question. Either you have it here, which you should, or you write it down. I do and or. So we don't have to flip back, not only for energy and time efficiency, but it shows you that I've been listening. So certain people just are naturally like sales oriented, and I'm not like that. And so that's why it's a lot in your best interest to work with someone like myself, because that's the differentiating factor, is that I won't be here to talk over you. I won't give you a lot of and you know how people go, and I'm like, I don't do that. I sometimes do. The words just comes out without me intentionally, but I'm not gonna be there to go, right, yeah, you, and and I go, and that's just like a break. And whether how you use it or not, I know the psychology of that. And so whenever I hear a phone call from someone, what you're getting from me is the most transparency. I'll even say, hey, good question. And I know how to answer it very, very well. I'll give you even specific information. What do you want to know about 504 loans? That they're 2 loans, okay? Usually for real estate, for heavier machinery, equipment, and other purposes, there's usually two backed loans. One is the first one. The second one is a bond held loan, where it's making recurring monthly payments over the course of this. So it really could bring your interest a bit down, but that's not in your best interest. It's a little bit more confusing to understand. But here, let me break it down for you in layman's terms. Here is the SBA 7A option. The SBA 7A is issued through banks normally. You have non-banking lenders as well, where you don't have to make deposits or transfer your accounts or create another business checking account or multiple accounts underneath that bank because it's non-banking. Or you have a banking institution where it is the majority of the time what we want to work on specifically with your industry. So this is how punctual I am, guys. So don't think I'm just a YouTuber. Don't think I'm just the information guy. Don't think I'm just a marketer. There's a lot more depth to me. And when I get in front of a group of people to coach and educate them, you bet I'm bringing it. And I don't have to say it. People have to hear it, and they have to read between the lines because there's things that I say that won't be said. That makes sense. And so when I'm communicating with you, I'm understanding your problems. I'm understanding your pain. I'm understanding your questions, those roadblocks. That's the answer. I go, okay. But I break it down even more. If you needed money for insurance and you were waiting for 6-7 months, what were you doing between those 6-7 months? Well, I was working as a 9-to-5 employee. I really got dug under, but I looked a little bit around. What did you look at? Okay, I did look at this option where they said you have to come in with a 600 credit score, but they said I wouldn't get approved if I didn't have. Okay, so in 4 to 6 months, what were you doing? So in 4 to 6 months, I just kind of let it go, and I got into family issues, and this came up, and so you're saying you want 50,000 now, and without me asking for your personal credit reports, if I ask for them, which I can, a lot of the times I don't have to anymore, and it just depends on what we're doing. So if I look at your credit and you're wanting 50,000, your highest limit card on your personal side is, what was it again? 1,000. So at an 1,000 amount, and I've seen this in your credit, we may be able to give you 5 times that amount, but it may not be a business credit card at your level. Probably get you another personal card, probably get you double the amount of that or similar. So looking at all of this history, I can dig up myself and my team, and we go, they're going to use this card to consolidate a little bit more debt. They're going to use it as kind of like a quote unquote payoff loan. And in the meantime, they're going to raise their credit level. That's going to help them raise their credit level, in fact, even higher, because what they're making payments on, and then when it'll reflect on the reports, it'll report usually a lot much faster than what they were doing before and not making those payments as quickly. That makes sense because you weren't in a financial position to do that, or deposition to. So as a business owner, I know the psychology of how you guys look at things, whether it's a certain blueprint, it's a business plan, because I created these things for myself. I've created them for actual business owners. And so when I'm going through these and I'm looking at the financials, I'm looking at the cash flow, if depending on the service, and I go, that won't work. They have to clear their interest first. They have to file another year's worth of tax returns. Once we have this current one, we can then look at that with the past year. We actually have 2 years in the last 3 years. Their actual their oldest year is what we want with the recent one that they're going to file. And they're going to clear up all that debt, pay it off early if they needed to. Great. They're going to raise their cash flow. They're going to raise their EBITDA. And now they're going to have their debt service coverage ratio above a 1.15. In fact, it's about 1.35. I don't want to confuse you guys too much on that realm. But then I go, okay, yeah, this is more suitable. Now we got to do a stronger cash flow analysis on this part, and we'll do it. But until you really get it into your head that I'm here for your best interest, I'm not here to do what's in best for me because I'm trying to make money. And be careful who you speak to. If you like getting telemarketed, if you like getting cold calls, I hate that. I look down upon those people. And they might be the best people on a personal level, but I really do look down upon people like that because I don't want to be getting called like that. I don't need to be answering calls from you on that. Sometimes I do just to entertain it. If it's a good day, out of my curiosity, which I never do, but I end it quick. So what do you got? No. Appreciate you. Thank you, but I'm not interested. And maybe I'll let them get the last word in because I'm not like that. Let them get the last word in. How many of you, I know who you guys are, those of you who don't even let the person get the last word in. That's not good. Now, you may not like them. That's another thing. With me, I won't do that. Like, well, how about you get 25? No, I won't do that. God, that's terrible. And I've seen these programs. I'll leave it here. I know I was supposed to leave earlier, but I was looking at a program and I'll go, people are buying this for how much? $2,500, $5,000 for becoming a business loan broker / agent. And I go, what? What are they buying into? And then when I find out what's in those courses, I go, are these people aren't even teaching them how to do things. They're not even teaching them how to read financials. They're not even teaching them how to read credit reports, bank statements, what to look out for. And if they are, they're teaching them the bottom level. They're probably bringing somebody else to coach and teach them. And I go, seriously. And how many people have bought into this program? How many people? That's how many? 6,000, 7,000 people that don't know what they're doing. And you're making a percentage of what they make because maybe you have contracts with that lender or that organization that if one of the brokers you bring in that's a part of your institution and then they go in, file the person there, and then they make money off that, you're going to make more than what the actual person who submitted them, who actually worked to get that person in the door. Now that's wrong. To me, it's wrong. I know you're offering people an opportunity, and I had the discussion with my pops and my dad, how older generations. Well, if he's teaching people and he's showing people, there's nothing wrong. Yeah, but he didn't get the point. And so I had to say it again. And then he finally kind of like, yeah. So it's not all about just teaching and coaching. It's about actually knowing the things. So if I'm creating a business loan broker program out there for people and I have my stuff for this, I'm not here to just show you a program. What is that going to do? If you don't even know how to read financials, you don't even know how to look at bank statements, you don't even know how to look at credit reports. What am I doing? Okay. So appreciate you guys again. Thank you for everything. I don't take you guys for granted. Quick video, actually long video. And for all information, I'll leave it in the description. It isn't right now, but I will leave it there. It will be on the replay. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Excuse me, long video, kind of tired now. But know that I don't waste energy and time. Say something, you do it, period. Michael, I'm going to get this submitted. You don't even have to tell me when. I'm going to get it done right away. You'll see it in your inbox right away. Done. Good. Right. Simple. It isn't this whole like, now you go search for another YouTube video. Now you're going to go search for another YouTube video. Oh my. And I go, seriously, they're looking for video production. They don't want authenticity, or they don't want the actual nitty gritty, or they don't actually want to see the whole things because they want to hear something from somebody that they won't like have to, what's the word? They won't have to tell them everything. They'll just tell them enough to bait them in. But with me, I'm giving you guys what you guys need in this format and others. So that'll be everything. Appreciate you guys. Please like the video if you found value from it. Share with others who you feel will find value from it. It can be a friend, a family member, a complete stranger. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do so. And click that bell notification icon so you do not miss any future content I will be coming out with. And that is all for now. Let's have a great week, like Gerardo said, and let's make the most of it. Let's get after it. For those of you who do need help, please feel free to reach out, or if we're in a part of the process that we already are in, then you know what to do from there. I've usually communicated with you. But for those of you who are just sitting on the fence, who are at the ballpark, who doesn't even want to buy a ticket, who wants everything for free, and there's underlying circumstances to that, but you just kind of sit outside all the time and you're just like, when's my turn? When is it my turn? When I have the money, but you're not being resourceful enough on how to get that money, and you're not understanding OPM, other people's money, and you're not quite in tune with those. It's okay. I can help you. But at the same time, it's like, when are you going to stop sitting on the fence and go over it? Even if you have to climb it, there's a pack of zombies coming after you. Is that what's finally going to get you to move to the next? Or is it something internally and within you that you go, well, I'm starting to see all these diminishing returns. I can no longer let it go in, not a non-linear line. It's concaving down instead of concaving upwards. You're decreasing. You're kind of at a height emotionally, and then, it's not all about emotions in this. It's about making the right logical decision. So you make your decisions based on emotions and you justify them based on logic. And I can use those levers, but I'm not doing that. I'm not here to do something unethically. I'm here to guide you for your right service, for your right benefits, the benefactor of all of this. And if you don't see that for yourself, then there's something else. It has to be a character flaw. That's what it comes down to. And like I said at the beginning of this video, somewhere towards that, I was listening to a podcast that reaffirmed what I do. And he thinks exactly the same way that I do. He looks at people's character. He looks at their egos. He looks at what's driving them. He looks at all of these little things. And he goes for a specific service and he charges a lot for a specific service. He goes, I don't want that person in that, because not that they couldn't pay for it or not that they're not at the aptitude to do it. I just know based upon their character what they're going to cause problems with already. And if we don't get the underlying causes fixed, it's just going to continue to do this. And if not, you left it out the door and you'll learn to do that. But at the same time, once you get to a higher level, guys, in your business, if you haven't, you're going to stop working so much in it. You're going to be looking at it from the outside in and getting that access to you, whether somebody's upset with you that you told them something, but you know that that is very professional to do, and you know that is most appropriate. So at that point, you go, is it you or is it the other person? For me, it's no longer me. It's the person on that other screen. Okay, everybody. Rodney, welcome in. You're all here for it. Yeah, and we're at the end of the video. If you just joined us or you've been in here for a little bit, I think what I want to do, because Rodney did comment and I said I would leave earlier, let's leave this open for about 1 more minute. Does anybody have anything they would like to ask? Any comments? I'll take questions right now, though. And while I'm doing that, I'm looking at my tab here for, I have a lot of emails coming in from my lender. Here they are. So I'll give it a minute, but I'm looking at my email inbox, which you guys can't see. It's very confidential. Nice. Got it. Taken care of. There's my lender. There's our follow-up that we've asked from him. Like I had told, I'm not going to say his name, but I'm looking at it right here. So our lender had a conversation with my client. I could have done a 3-way call, but I told my lender last week, you guys can both, I know what goes on in these two, but if I want to hear it again, if something gets updated in time, maybe I'll get in there. And I don't say much. I just listen. And I go, yeah, he is right. True. Yes, we would need to gather this. And then there's times where I go in there and I ask for things based on what I've seen. And so here is just a follow up with my lender and I on what we were going to need from the buyer and then the seller. So I have the buyer information in bulletin points here, individual certification form completed by the both, if this is guaranteed by two, the guarantors, 219 to 2021, personal tax returns and 2022, if you have them, personal financial statement, but I still have to add a little bit more. I pointed out some things that were missing there. Borrower certification form completed on behalf of the new business entity acquiring this restaurant. So we're doing a restaurant acquisition loan right now. And then if you don't have one, this is what we would need. The seller information. This is this person who's retiring. I looked at this information already. So 2019 to 2021 business tax returns and 2022 if available. So this is flip-flopped. So this is from the seller having to supply their business tax returns. The buyer is looking at supplying the personal tax returns because it's a startup. If they had a business, it would be a little bit different. A lot of the times we won't have to ask for that though. LOI/purchase agreement, if available, 2022 year-end profit and loss statement and balance sheet, confidential business memo. I always mix this word, but I'll say it. Memorandum, if available, and so forth. We go from there. Let me see something, Rodney. Give me 1 second. Okay. So you haven't filled out my questionnaire form, am I correct? So down below, or actually I'll put it in the comments right now. Give me 1 second. I try to verify because I've had a few Rodneys who have come through me, who have filled out my form. Just want to make sure I have the right one. I know how it gets when you have like multiple people with the same name, especially when I'm on like certain lives and then I can't see only besides their username. And I remember a lot of people by their username, but then it's like, who? I got a user, and then I'm like, who's that user? And so what I will do for you, as I'm doing it right now, copy and paste. I don't think you have my, do you have my free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist, Rodney? I'd like to grow out my beard like you. I usually do, but it's like so thin. You can use like a one on a razor or on a hair clippers, whatever it is, and then just if I grew it out that big, that'd be cool. But I probably wouldn't have it for too long. My family would be making remarks and comments, and it's not all about that. But I don't think I'd want it for too long to grow out. Yeah, so if you haven't filled out the questionnaire, and this goes for everybody else, so I'll put it in the comments as you guys are watching, and I just put it there, Rodney, as well as for anybody else. Gerardo, you filled this out already, so you don't have to worry about that. And let me go back to my comments. I'll leave it open for about another minute or so. I'm resetting the clock, so if anybody has anything, I'll reset it. I have a little bit of time. It's 11 o'clock. After this, I need to go into some of my social groups. I do need to get into LinkedIn, though, as soon as I can. I'm eating up into that time. I should have been into that about 30 minutes ago. But feel free to ask any questions you guys have, and I'll get to you accordingly. And if I don't, if I don't answer, then you guys can go to the description. And then also I'll leave my email there if you guys want to email me. See how calibrated I am, guys? You guys see that? I'm not hiding anything. It's refreshing, isn't it? Like to hear from somebody who actually thinks about it, actually listens, who actually is not just reading a script. I go off the script, if anything. And I'm thinking it through. I'm like in my own head, if you see how it works, I'm putting this piece together with this one, and then that puzzle, no. Yes. And then that works. So does anybody have anything else? I hate circumstances like these. These are a big pet peeve of mine. And see, these are the things that I look at in certain clients, and I'm emailing quite a few right now on my back end. You guys can't see my emails, but yeah, that doesn't make sense for me. Over here, I've seen this comment as well. See, now when we're adding multiple parties to something like this is a bit of a concern too. So I've seen it all, and I know the path that this leads down. So I see that email. Here, I'll leave this open for a minute. So I'm actually working while I'm doing this. You guys feel free to ask any questions. Now's the time. So what I'm doing now is I'm connecting her with my credit repair. Teresita, if you're in here watching, I am putting my email together for you. Okay, so my next step now, I'm inputting the system into my back office so we can help them with their credit repair. I know their objective. I know what they would like to do. And so right now, you guys can't see this because it is confidential. I want to do this while I'm on here too. I can go on my own and do this, but I want you guys to know that look, I'm working too, and I can be on a live. If you guys have any questions, let me go back here to see if anybody has anything. Nobody? Okay, it's okay. And so what I'll do here is I'm going into my back office and I'm taking in this questionnaire that has been submitted, and we spoke over things already, so I know her expectations. Very simple. This isn't a headache at all. Made my life energy and time effective. So here I have this email that I need to move. And I'm just inputting some fields I need to get done. Verifying a phone number, date of birth. And then I'm just inputting that. Okay, it's good to go. Next field. Okay, that looks good. So now let's put an address, city, state, zip code. They were awesome enough to provide me their social. I won't say that though. Of course not. You don't have to for these kind of things. We can do it in another way. But a lot of people, when they get comfortable with me, and it's very safe and secure, just so you know, in case you're questioning that. So I want to put here online. She gave me the outcomes and the results she's looking for, but I want see this is where I need to know the problems to this, and that's why I had asked her those questions before. And so down here, okay, so I'm just going to input that there. And then let me make sure this number is fine. This HP lighting thing's in my way. Her husband's number. So let me move this. Okay. Everything is inputted. I'm just reviewing. Okay. Done for one, and then I will be waiting for her husband's, unless this is all a joint account. So let me move back into this and bring up the HP lighting. Not that right one. This one actually opened up my Explorer. This is the one. Okay. All right, everybody. This is where I do get going. I said I would earlier. I was just getting finished on a credit repair client. We're submitting information in, and we're going to be gathering more things from them and discovery and more. I will be getting back to some things on social, LinkedIn included, and I will be reviewing some SBA documentation, gathering some SBA docs that I'm hoping to get here soon from certain individuals. If you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I will be here to guide you, protect you, whatever you want to call it. But I'm here for you at the end of the day. That is everything from me. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.